Hello and welcome back to BIMGeek. Today I've got a more beginner-friendly tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you how to use Excel data within Grasshopper to create Revit elements. So this workflow is especially useful because as AC professionals we are dealing with a lot of Excel data, and having all that data available within Grasshopper creates a lot of potential workflows. So one of the example workflows is actually creating Revit sheets from an Excel table. So in this video, we are going to create all these sheets in the project browser with their names and numbers and parameters. So without further ado, let's get started. Let me start by briefly introducing you to the Excel table. So in this table, we have 7 columns, and in each column, I have a Revit parameter. The first one contains the sheet numbers, then I have the sheet names, approved by, designed by, checked by, drawn by, and issue date parameter values. By the way, all the Grasshopper definitions, as well as this Excel table, you can access them from my website. Link to that is in the description down below. So let's continue with the requirements to follow this tutorial. So to follow this tutorial, you must have Rhino inside Revit installed. So Rhino inside Revit is basically brings all the power of Rhino and Grasshopper into Revit. So we can actually interact with Revit elements and create Revit elements using Grasshopper. This is especially powerful. When it comes to Grasshopper requirements, we are going to use TT Toolbox by Core Studio plugin. So this plugin will allow us to interact with Excel data. We can read Excel sheets using this plugin. Link to that as well as to Rhino inside Revit is in the description down below. So let's get started in Revit. I'm going to start from scratch and let me start my Grasshopper. So this is actually basically the definition that we are going to create in this tutorial. Even though it looks quite complicated, it is actually quite simple. We only read the Excel data in the first place, then we create our sheets, add a title block, then the last thing we do is we actually assign parameter values, approved by, designed by, checked by, drawn by, etc. So we add values to each corresponding parameter. I actually have a shorter version of this definition as well. So what it does is basically this one also reads the Excel data, creates sheets, adds a title block, then it assigns parameter values in a single element parameter node. This is especially powerful. I'm going to show you the long version as well as the short version. But we are going to start from scratch. And so if you installed Rhino inside Revit, you should see a Revit tab in which you will have all the Revit specific components. Then we will have, if you installed TT Toolbox as well, you should see the Excel and Read Excel sheet as well. So let's start by reading Excel data actually, and I'm gonna close my Excel table and I'm gonna search for Excel. Then let's select Read Excel Sheet. So this one basically accepts the file path. I'm going to search for file path and let's select our Excel table. So I'm going to connect this one as the file path, and the worksheets in our Excel table was named as sheet 1. I'm going to connect this, and whether if you want to run it or not will be a Boolean. Let's say true and connect. And this node will read Excel data. If I connect a panel to the columns output, you can see all the columns from our Excel table available within Grasshopper. So we have the sheet numbers, sheet names, and all the parameters as well, but we're not going to need the first item from each of these branches. So I need to delete the first item. To do that, we are going to use cool index. So this one accepts a list. Our list will be columns output, and the indices that we are going to delete will be index 0. I'm going to connect this, and if I connect the panel to the output, as you can see, the first item is being removed from the list. So if I check whether if it's correct or not, so the columns output has 36 elements in each branch, and the cool index outputs 35 items. So we are doing well. So now what I'm going to do is I am actually going to explode this tree into its branches, and we are going to use explode tree node. I'm going to connect my list as the data. So this will give me a warning stating that it contains more branches. So we need to add some more outputs. So we had 7 columns and I'm going to add 7 branch. Just like that. So each of these branch will output our specific column. So the first one will have our sheet numbers. The second one will have sheet names. The third one will be the parameters, etc. So since we have exploded our tree, now is the exciting part. We are going to create our Revit sheets. So I'm going to type in add sheet, and it's right here. This one accepts a sheet number and a sheet name. So our sheet numbers will be stored in the first branch. I'm going to connect this as the sheet number, and sheet name will be the second branch. And just like that, it turned black. So in Grasshopper, if your Revit component, Revit node turns black, which it means that it created a Revit element. Let's come back to Revit. And as you can see, now I have some sheets with their corresponding names and numbers. So we have done the hard part, actually, creating Revit sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open one of them. And as you can see, it's actually empty. It doesn't have any title block in it. So let's come back to Grasshopper and let's add a title block. So I'm going to type in title block and add title block right here. So this one accepts 2 things. The first one will be sheet. It's right here, and a title block type. So let's define our title block type first. I'm going to type in title block, and there is a node called title block type picker. So from here, I can select my title block type. I'm going to select A0 metric, and let's connect this as the type, and my sheet will come from here. And just like that, it also turned black, which means that we have created a Revit element. Let's come back to Revit, and voila, just like that, it's here, the title block family. Not only in the first one, but also in this one as well. So all of these sheets have their title block now. So let's continue. So we have a couple parameters available in our sheet: approved by, designed by, checked by, drawn by, and sheet issue date. And we have a corresponding value for each of them in our Excel table. I'm going to open my Excel table again, and I'm going to show you how they look like. So the approved by parameter is in the third column. Then I have my designed by, checked by, and drawn by. And as you can see, they have the same order as Revit. Approved by, designed by, checked by, drawn by. Approved by, designed by, checked by, drawn by. So let's come back to Grasshopper and let's assign their parameter values. The first one was approved by. Let's start using element parameter. So this parameter, so this node is actually quite magical. So if I connect my element as the element, and the parameter that I'm looking for is approved by. So I'm going to type in approved by. And if I connect this to the parameter input, it will give me the value. So the default value for approved by is approver. But if I connect my third branch as the value, this one also turned black. Let's go back to Revit. And just like that, approved by parameter has its corresponding value now. So I'm going to do the same thing for each of these parameters. Let's copy and paste. I'm going to disconnect this from the value input. I'm going to connect my element to here. And I'm going to copy and paste again. Copy and paste. So approved by, designed by, checked by, drawn by. Then I think I need one more for issue date. So the first one was approved by. We have done it. Let's continue with the designed by parameter. So designed by. Oops, I'm sorry. This one was approved by. Let's continue with designed by parameter. So this one will store designed by parameter. Its value will come from this branch. Just like that, it turned black. Let's go back to Revit, designed by TG. I'm going to continue with checked by. Okay, so now it has the value of it, which is checker. Let's set it as the 5th branch. Just like that, it turned black. Let's go back to Revit, checked by SP. All right, and drawn by. Click OK. It has the value of it, and its value will be the 6th branch. Let's come back to Revit, drawn by BG. And the final one will be the sheet issue date parameter. So I'm going to type in sheet issue date and click OK, and its value will come from the last branch. So just like that, we have actually done it. All of them turned black. So if I come back to Revit, so all my sheets are created. If I select one of them, they are approved by, designed by, all their parameters are set correctly. So this was actually the long version of the script. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo what we have done. So I'm just going to undo a couple steps one more time. So all of them have their default value, and I'm going to select all of them and delete. So in this part, I'm going to show you how to do the same thing, but with a single step. So what are the parameters that we are going to set? I'm going to create a new panel, and I'm going to type in my parameters name. They're going to be approved by parameter. This will be the first one. Second one, designed by. The third one, checked by. Then drawn by. And finally, sheet issue date. So these are my parameters that I'm going to set value for. I'm going to right click on this panel and select multi-line data. Then I'm going to type in element parameter node. My element will be my sheets, and the parameters that I'm looking for will be these guys. So if I connect this as the input, and let's go to value, it has 35 values. So I think I have to graft my parameter input. I'm just going to right click on it and click on graft. And now it has 175 value. So each of these parameters have their individual branches. And in each branch, I have 35 values. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to merge all these branches into a single tree. And to do that, we are going to use the merge node. I'm going to connect my inputs, the 3rd branch, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'm going to remove the last one. So my result will have the same structure as the output of my element parameter node, right? So if I connect my result as my value input, it will set all the parameters values in a single node. Let's do that. I'm going to connect my result as the value. It turned black, which means that it has done something in Revit. Let's go to Revit, and just like that, all of them have their own individual value. All right, so we have done it. As I said at the beginning, the Grasshopper definitions as well as the files that I have used in this tutorial are available in my website. Link to that is in the description down below. I hope you learned something new. If you have any idea for a future tutorial, just let me know in the comment section below, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.